Hello, my name is Meiju. Welcome to watch my Mickan jacket tutorial. This tutorial is long since it's including making the pocket flaps, the hem, bottom hem band, the neckband and the button bands and also the cuff bands. Everything is done with double knitting, although this cardigan itself, it's stockinette stitch made with boucle yarn, boucle merino, which is really interesting yarn. I'm going to enter the places. If you don't want to watch the whole video, you can scroll forward or backwards to the places where everything is. So I'm making the starting, I'm entering the starting point of the pocket flaps, the hem band, the neck band, button band and cuffs. So you can scroll forward or backwards if you want to search a specific point from this video. This video is long, I know, but you can work it while knitting, and I also wanted to be very thorough that it would include everything. These are double knitting bands and you will find the instructions in this video. Enjoy! Okay, let's first look at a bit more closely the construction of this cardigan or jacket. So I'm knitting top down, so I have cast on here at the top and I'm knitting top down. So actually we should flip this around and look at it from this angle. So basically this is the angle where I'm continuing knitting. So first I have cast on stitches here for the back. Then I have shaped the armholes, worked the piece until the armhole shaped the armholes here and here as the pattern instructs. I have very detailed instructions in the pattern how to shape the armhole, and it differs in each size a little bit. Then when I have reached the armhole of the back piece, I have picked up stitches first for the right front. This is the right front. When you wear it, it will be on your right side. So in the beginning I placed a marker just to indicate where the picking up stitches ends, and also about that I have detailed instructions in the pattern. For each size the pick-up stitches, the number of pick-up stitches differs slightly. So I have picked up stitches here. Then I have shaped the neckline. Also that differs in each size. And also I have shaped the armhole as on the back piece. And there is also detailed instructions for each side and piece. So you don't have to think anything in terms of knitting a mirror image. You just follow the pattern and it's easiest for you. Then when I have reached the armhole length of the right front piece, I will continue with the left front. And why I do first the right front and then the left front, it's because that when I join the pieces together, I can just continue with the yarn from the left front, join it to the back piece, work the back piece and then continue to the right front piece. Also it could be done theoretically also from the wrong side of the right piece, but I like to work first the right front, then the left front. Okay, now we will make the pocket flap. This cardigan has fake pocket flaps that are made with the contrasting yarn. So I'm going to demonstrate how it will be made at this point when we have reached the length that we need for the pocket. So first I'm knitting to the place where the pocket flap will be placed. Also, the number of stitches worked here differs in each size a bit, so you have to follow the pattern to be able to work this. So now I'm joining the yarn B, the contrasting yarn, and I'm just leaving this working yarn to wait here. Do not cut it. I will knit the number of stitches given in the pattern. Just checking. Yes, 16 stitches in this pattern. Then after this we will make the pocket flap. This could be also theoretically done as an afterthought flap after that we have worked the whole cardigan, but I don't want to cut yarns in between, so that's why I'm doing it now. So I will turn the work. I will start the flap. I will knit the first stitch through the back loop, just making sure that the other yarn doesn't tangle my stitch. Then I'm doing yarn over, knit through the back loop, 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 yarn over, knit through the back loop. Then I just tighten a little bit this yarn and turn my work. Okay, now we will start the repeat. So as you have count your stitches, you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 31 stitches. Now we start to repeat, and you will slip all purl stitches purlwise with yarn in front and knit the yarn overs. Slip stitch purlwise with yarn in front, so you will bring the yarn in front of the stitch and knit the knit stitch. Slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit. Slip the stitch, yarn in front, knit. You can also bring the yarn in front, slip the stitch, then bring it back, knit. Slip, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, 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 knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front. And here we go. As you can see, there are gaps now here, but they will ease out when we pull from this yarn later. But I have to first work a few more rounds to be able to do that properly, so it won't affect the pattern. Next, knit. All the knit stitches are knit, purl stitches are slip with yarn in front. So you will bring the yarn in front of the stitch, then knit, bring the yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, so the yarn stays in front of the stitch. Knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, 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 knit. Okay. And this will be the repeat. So you will always slip the purl stitches with yarn in front on both sides and knit the knit stitches. Here we go. And you will repeat this as many times as the pattern says. Okay, let's try now to pull the yarn to make the gaps underneath here more nice. So basically you just pull this yarn like this. There you go. I recommend doing probably a few more rounds, so I probably pulled now too hard, but you can later ease it out with just stretching from here. But now the gaps are close and it will look just fine. Okay, continue this repeat as the pattern says. A few more rows. and you just continue this repeat until the desired length, which will be approximately 3 centimeters or 1.25 or 1.5 inches. And the pocket flap doesn't have a buttonhole because it's a fake one, and the button will be sewed on to the flap and attached by sewing to the cardigan. So the buttonhole instruction will be given when there will be buttons on these button bands of the cardigan. I will come back after I have worked this flap to the given length, and then I will show the bind off. Okay, now I have reached the given length. It will be approximately 3 centimeters, 1.5 inches, and end with right side row, so your working yarn will be at the end of right side row. Turn your work, wrong side is facing you, and we will make the bind off. The bind off will be made on the wrong side, so, and it will start purling 2 together, like that. Then purl 2 together, and slip the first stitch over the second stitch like in a normal bind off. Then repeat, purl 2 together, slip the stitch over, purl 2 together, slip the stitch over, purl 2 together, slip over, and repeat this until you have only 1 stitch remaining. And check out your tension once and a while. It cannot be too tight, but it cannot be too loose either. So just check that it will be fine. Make sure that it doesn't pull too much the work inwards. Okay, then you have only 1 stitch left because the number was uneven. Just work it normally like that. And then you will have to cut the yarn. Like that, and pull it through the last stitch like that. Then just weave the end so it will be nice. And there you have a pocket flap. And then we are continuing to work with this working yarn that we have here. So we need, since we stopped here, and we need to continue the work where we were. We are just picking up the purl bumps from here and knitting through the purl bumps of the work. There will be 16 purl bumps. If you use the same yarn, it's slightly difficult to see, but they are still visible and easy to catch. So you pick up through those purl bumps. The first stitch, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 15, one more. So it's this one. And it's the hardest to pick up because it's tight, because I pulled the yarn. But we will make it. I need to little bit. Yes, now I have it. Like that. 16 stitches, flap is there, and then we just continue working the row as we normally would to the place where the other flap will be placed. Okay, now I have reached the bottom of the body. So my cardigan looks like this. So I need to start the hem band, which is basically knit the same way as the pocket flaps, but you can now cut the yarn since you don't need it here anymore. I had 2 yarns there since I was alternating skeins, and then I will join my yarn B. And I will knit the first row normally. So I will just knit this first row and then I will come back when I reach the end of the row to show you what happens next. Okay, now I have reached the end of the row, so I will turn my work and I will start the other setup row on the wrong side. So this is done the same way as the setup row on your pocket flaps. So I will knit the first stitch through the back loop. So I will go to the stitch from the back loop and knit it. Then I just make a yarn over and repeat that. Knit through the back loop, yarn over, knit through the back loop, yarn over. That's it. I will repeat that to the end of the row. Okay, now I have reached the end of the wrong side row. So last stitch was knit through the back loop. So you have almost doubled your stitch number, -1 stitch, since we did one yarn over less than the number of stitches. Okay, next row will be a right side row, and all the purl stitches that are appearing as purl ones that were knit through the back loop stitches on the wrong side will be now slipped with yarn in front, and all the yarn overs will be knit. So first stitch is a purl stitch. You will slip it with yarn in front, then you knit the first stitch, knit the yarn over, slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit. And you will continue this to the end of the row. And once again, do not worry about the holes that you might have at this stage. We will fix those later. Slip with yarn in front, knit. I will come back after I have finished this row, repeating this pattern. Okay, now I have reached the end of the row. My last stitch was purl stitch, which means that I should slip it with yarn in front. Then I'm turning the work and I will repeat the same pattern. Always knit the knit stitches and purl stitches will be slipped with yarn in front. Knit, slip the stitch purlwise with yarn in front. Knit, slip the stitch purlwise with yarn in front. Knit, slip the stitch purlwise with yarn in front, and you will continue this to the end of the row. And once again we will get back to those holes later. Okay, here we are again. So I have reached the end of the wrong side row and I'm at the beginning of the right side row. So what we do, we just repeat the pattern. Always slip the purl stitches purlwise with yarn in front, knit the knit stitches. And now that you have already repeated the pattern for 2 rows after the setup rows, this is much easier to see. So first stitch on the right side is slip purlwise with yarn in front, knit the next stitch, slip purlwise with yarn in front, knit, slip purlwise with yarn in front, knit. and you just repeat this to the end. And then the next round, next row, on wrong side you will always begin with knit stitch, slip, purl stitches, purlwise with yarn in front. Basically that's what you repeat. I will work a few more rounds and then we will get to those holes to see what happens to them. Okay, now my hem band is length enough and I still haven't closed these gaps. As you can see, there are some holes because of the yarn overs, but we will fix them now. I have already started the fixing, so I have my working yarn here. I have ended the right side row and I am in the beginning of wrong side row. So I need to start bind offing here. But first I will close these gaps. Since this is a very long piece and with the button bands I just needed to pull from the wrong side, from the starting yarn. So now it's basically theoretically possible, but I don't want to do that because this is so long piece that if I would pull from here I would be in difficulties in some point. So I have started from the other end and I have already started. I have pulled the yarn a bit. I have helped with my needle to get to the place, and now I'm just little by little pulling the yarn in a way that it closes the holes here. As you can see, we have holes here but not here, and I'm progressing slowly to the end of the row where my starting yarn is waiting. So this starting end, you need to do it this way since you don't want the yarn at this way. Of course it's possible you can cut it and then weave it to the end, but I only want to weave in one end. So that's how it goes. I little by little help the yarn through in small pieces. Make sure you don't pull it too tight. And this is how I go. I will come back with the bind off after I finished this. Okay, then we are at the bind off. So the bind off happens on the wrong side of the work, so on the wrong side row. So now I'm starting the wrong side row. So first you will purl the first stitch, then purl two together, slip the first stitch over the second stitch, repeat, purl two together, slip the stitch over, purl two together, slip the stitch over. Check your tension that you won't bind off too tight regularly, then take few stitches back if needed. I will repeat this to the end and then I'm cutting the yarn, pulling it through the last stitch, and then I'm going to start the button band. Okay, now we have proceeded to the cuff pants. So I have my other sleeve here. I'm joining my cuff yarn, and first I'm going to knit 1 round. I didn't change my needles for smaller since the gauge of this working with this yarn is smaller, so or tighter gauge, so I will just continue with the same needles that I had on my sleeve. Knit 1 round and then we will do the setup round. Okay, now I have worked through the round and my first stitch here is a yarn over. You have a gap here, but don't worry about it, you will fix it later. So now we start double knitting, but we will do it in the round. It will be just the same as here on a flat piece, this pocket flat and the hem, but we will just work it in the round. All yarn overs, as I have yarn over here at first, are knit, and purl stitches are slipped with yarn in front. Knit, slip the purl 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 with yarn in front. Knit, slip the purl. Okay, now I have my stitch is here twisted since I knitted not in my regular way, so I'm just turning it right way. Slip the stitch with yarn in front. The same was here with the first stitch. So knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, and this is how you continue until the end. And again, you have gaps here, we will fix those later, don't worry about them yet. Knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front. Okay, now we are at the end. My last stitch was purl stitch, I will slip it with yarn in front. Then I'm continue the next round. So when you work double knitting in the round, you have to think that the repeat is 2 rows. So this is something different from the flat knitting. So my first stitch here is knit stitch. So now in order to get double knitting, I will slip it with yarn in back. So I just keep the yarn in back and then I will purl the purl stitches. Slip the knit stitch with yarn in back, purl the purl stitch. Slip the stitch with yarn in back and then I'm purling by bringing the yarn in front, which is not my style of purling, but I believe most of the people knitting purl that way. Knit with yarn in back, purl, slip stitch with yarn in back, purl. And this is how you continue this round. So the repeat is 2 rounds. First round, knit the knit stitches, slip purl stitches with yarn in front. Second round, slip the knit stitches with yarn in back, purl the purl stitches. I will continue throughout the round and let's work after that 1 more repeat. so you will see how the pattern grows. Okay, I'm at the beginning of a round, and as you can see there is a big hole, but it will be fixed once you weave these ends. And then we will also fix those gaps by pulling the yarn as we did before with the other hem pants, but I recommend working the stitch pattern a little bit more before doing that. So let's work one more repeat. So you start the repeat from the beginning, knit the knit stitch, slip purls with yarn in front, knit, slip purl 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 with yarn in front. This is the first round of the repeat, and we will come back for the next round. Okay, and then we will start the second round of the double knitting repeat in the round. So I will slip the knit stitch with yarn in back. I left it in the back, and then I will purl the purl stitch and knit, slip the knit stitch with yarn in back, purl the purl stitch, slip the knit stitch with yarn in back, purl the purl stitch, slip the knit stitch with yarn in back, purl the purl stitch, slip the knit stitch with yarn in back, purl the purl stitch, slip with yarn in back, purl, slip with yarn in back, purl. And this is how you repeat. You repeat these 2 rounds, and I will come back after I have worked a few more rounds, and we will fix this gap here by pulling the yarn. I will show you how it's done, and then we will come back also to bind off. Okay, now I have made enough rows for this cuff band. So now what we will fix these holes here at the beginning. So we will do it the same way as we did with the other bands. So I just take this yarn and pull it tightly, and as this is also slightly long, you might want to help a little bit to get it from the beginning of the round, but make sure you are not pulling it too tight. Now it pulls here, so I can see that I'm at the end. Make sure you don't pull it too tight. You can little bit try it out here, and then to get this loop on track, you might want to and now the final loop like that, and then even it out. Okay, it should feel that it's not too tight here. And it's evenly tight at each spot. You can leave this here and fix it more after you have bind off. Okay, then the bind off. We start knitting 2 together, then knit 2 together, slip this preceding this stitch over the stitch as you would normally bind off. Then repeat. Knit 2 together, slip the stitch over. Make sure you not bind off too tightly. Knit 2 together, slip the stitch over. Knit 2 together, slip the stitch over. And this is how you continue throughout the round. Okay, last stitch here. I will cut the yarn, pull the yarn through, and then I will just thread it here to make a fake stitch when I weave it in. Okay, next we will go to neck band. Okay, next we are going to do the neck ribbing, and I had a problem with my microphone, so I have to do the voiceover. That's why the sound is slightly different here. So we are going to first pick up and knit stitches through the neckline. We are starting from the top corner of the right front piece, and we will pick up and knit the number of stitches that the pattern says to the shoulder seam first. So I'm going to insert the needle through the edge of the cardigan, and I'm going to catch the yarn from my hand, the working yarn. So always insert the needle through the edge and catch the yarn as you would knit it. That way you will get stitches on your needle. I will go throughout the neckline and will pick up the number of stitches given in the pattern. Also, I had a problem with my camera, so my video for the second setup row stopped. So the second setup row will be just the same as in the pattern. It will be knit 1 through the back loop, yarn over. So the second setup row will be just the same as in the hem, bottom hem, so you can rewind this video and watch it there if you have forgotten how it goes. Okay, now I'm at the start of the next row and we will start the pattern repeat. So the first stitch is a purl stitch. You will slip the purl stitch with yarn in front. Bring the yarn in front and then knit all the yarn overs, slip stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip stitch with yarn in front, knit. And this is repeated to the end of the row, and as you can see there are those gaps that we also had before. They are fixed by pulling the yarn. I will show it later once the neckband is long enough. This is the first row. Yarn overs are knit, pearl stitches are slipped with yarn in front. I will work the whole row and come back at the end of the row and show you the next row. Okay, and then there will be the next row. The last stitch was a purl stitch, so I slipped it with yarn in front, as here are uneven number of stitches. So on the wrong side, the next first stitch will be knit stitch. All the knit stitches are knit, purl stitches are slipped with yarn in front. So the same repeat as on previous row. Knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front. Knit stitches are knit, purl stitches are slipped with yarn in front. And as you can see, there is this gap that we will fix later as we did before. So these two rows are repeated until your neckband is long enough. And then we bind off on wrong side as we did with the hemband. So you can scroll back and look the bind off from there. I won't show it again because it's repetition. So bind off on wrong side by purling 2 stitches together always and slipping the stitch over. And also when you fix these gaps, you just pull from the scrap end, and you may want to start as you did with the hemband from here and pull it in sections so it will be easier. Okay, now we have worked the button band. And I have ended with the right side row, so my working yarn is here at the end of the right side row at the top of the left front piece. And next we are going to proceed to the left button band and leaving these stitches to wait to be bound off later. But first I want to fix these gaps here. So I'm going to pull this yarn to fix it. Like that, and making sure it's not too tight. Let's proceed now to the left button band. So I'm gonna take another needle. This is so short that I need another needle, and I'm going to pick up and knit a stitch from every row using my working yarn that I have here. So I'm going to start from here and now things come interesting, since the yarn that I have used is it's so difficult to see where is actually the row, but do your best. And just proceed to the bottom like this. I will come back when I have picked all the stitches. Okay, since I was able to pick up the stitches so tightly on each row, I actually found the rows quite easily. I decided to change to 3.5 millimeter needles. So now, even though the number of exact picked up stitches isn't that important here, you want to make the same size button bands for each front, for left and right front. So you may want to count your stitches at this point and write the number down, so you will so you are able to pick up and knit the same number for the right front too. Okay, then we are going to cast on 12 stitches for the button band. So I'm using cable cast on, so I will turn the work and go between the first and the second stitch, catch the yarn and place it under the needle. So I have cast on one stitch. Then again, go between the yarns between the stitches, catch the yarn, place it on the needle, second stitch. Again, between the stitches, third stitch. And this way you will cast on 12 stitches. Okay, let's count them. Here I have the first it's this the last picked up stitch, it's this one. One more. Okay, now I have 12 stitches. So what happens now is that we start the bottom band. It's worked together with those picked up stitches. I will knit 1 stitch and we are working in double knitting. Slip the stitch, next stitch purlwise with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch purlwise with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch purlwise with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch purlwise with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch purlwise with yarn in front, one more stitch so that we have 11 stitches here at the right hand needle. 2, 4, 6, 8, then 11. Then we will slip 2 stitches knitwise with yarn in front. Then we turn the work and we knit these 2 stitches together like that. Then again slipwise, slip, purl stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip stitch purlwise with yarn in front, knit. So this is the same double knitting that we have already done. Always purl stitches are slipped with yarn in front, knit stitches, knit. And then we start the repeat. We will repeat knit 1, slip 1 purlwise with yarn in front, knit 1, slip 1 purlwise with yarn in front, knit 1, slip 1 purlwise with yarn in front, knit 1, slip 1 purlwise with yarn in front, knit 1, slip 1 purlwise with yarn in front, knit 1. And now that we have 11 stitches, we will slip 2 stitches with yarn in front, turn the work and knit 2 together like that. Then again continue the repeat, slip 1 purlwise with yarn in front, knit, slip with yarn in front, knit, slip with yarn in front, knit. I will come back after few repeats so it will look as it should look. Okay, and now it is time for the right button band. We have already worked the left one and the right one needs to have the buttonholes. And this side is also worked from the top down, from the bottom up. So this side is also worked from the bottom up. So I'm starting to pick up stitches from the bottom right front corner. So what I need to do first is to have a yarn tail that is approximately 3 times the length of the button band from which I need to pick up stitches and some extra to be safe. So I'm picking up stitches, the same number of stitches that I picked up with the left front bottom band, and I try to pick up one stitch from each row, and make sure that you have make sure that you are picking with the yarn tail that you have, and the working yarn is left here. So the working yarn that is coming from the skein is left to the bottom, since we start to knit with this end of the yarn. And make sure that you are picking up the same number of stitches that you did on the left button band. If you use the same yarn that I do, it's going to be slightly challenging, but not impossible. I will come back when I have picked up all stitches to the end. Okay, now I have picked up all stitches. I have my yarn tail here. This is the pickup. No, this is the pickup yarn tail, and this is the ones that were waiting from the neckband. And then I'm pulling the needle slightly, since I'm starting from the bottom. So I will slide the needle in a way that I can start from the bottom corner with the working yarn coming from the skein, and I will cast on 12 stitches with cable cast on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And checking. Yes. Okay. Then I'm starting with the right side row, the double knitting as I did with the left front band. The first stitch will be slip the stitch with yarn in front, then knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, 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 yes. Now The last stitch will be, since I have 11 here and my bottom band is 12 stitches, I will do slip, slip, knit with the last stitch. So slip the stitch as if to knit, slip the stitch as if to knit, place them back to the left hand needle and knit through the back loop. Then you will turn the work and again slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit, 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 slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit. Let's do one more right side row. Slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit. This is already familiar for you since we have already done it so many times with this pattern. And then the 12th stitch will be slip, slip, knit. So you will join the band together with the picked up stitches. I will work a few more rounds and you need to follow the pattern to make sure when you start the buttonhole, and I will come back to show you the buttonhole when we get there. Okay, I am starting the buttonhole from the wrong side. So I have just worked the right side row and then I'm starting the wrong side row. So I will slip the first stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit. I will work 6 stitches like this, then turn, slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, and then work the slip, slip, knit as you did before. You have went once back and forth. I will make a note on this. Then repeat. Slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit. Then back, slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, knit, slip the stitch with yarn in front, and slip, slip, knit. This is the second time back and forth. Third time and the last time for this size buttonhole. If you use another size or larger that I have written in the pattern, then you of course need a larger buttonhole. Like that. This was the third time. And then you need to work one more wrong side row. And in case you are wondering, I have already cut my yarn since I had to try which size buttonhole I need. I have cut the working yarn. I'm bringing it to the wrong side of the row. I'm joining a new yarn from the skein and working the same number of repeats for this side. 2, so starting with the wrong side, you can also bring this yarn to the wrong side, then coming back, one repeat, then the second repeat, like that. Then one more repeat. Now you have a buttonhole, and then this was the third repeat, so the same number as in here, but you need to work one more wrong side row to catch the same level on this side as with this side. Then you join these together by working one right side row, and at this point you want to pull the slip the yarn in front very tightly and knit this tightly, and since the yarns are now loose, this is also loose yarn, you will, when you weave these to the buttonhole, the buttonhole will be good enough. Slip, slip, knit at this point. Now you have right size buttonhole. I don't use this button, but this will be the same size that I'm going to use, so it will be perfect. Then you will work as many repeats as the pattern says, and then you work the next buttonhole as here. Okay, I have now worked all buttonholes. I decided to put one buttonhole at the neckband, so this section is slightly smaller than the others, but that's how it is. Okay, one last bit that we have with this knitting. I have the 2 stitches on holder from the neck band that I was binding off. I will enter them on the needle, slip them on the needle, and then I need to find the yarn that I was using. It's this one. So the bind off continues with purling 2 stitches together. So this was already purled, so I need to enter the one waiting on the needle. Then I will again purl 2 together, slip the stitch over, purl 2 together, slip the stitch over, purl 2 together, slip the stitch over, and this is continued to the end. And there will be only 1 stitch since the number of stitches was uneven on the neck. There you go. Then I will cut the yarn, pull it through, and then there is just weaving ends. There are quite a lot of ends with this button band. Make sure that you once again try your buttons that they will fit the holes, and you can use these yarns to make the buttonhole even tighter if needed. Thank you for watching and happy knitting!